Oh, good morning. Alright, we are outside today. We are outside. I was thinking it's going to be a little bit easier. Distractions. Alright, we're going to try this out. I don't know about the quiet part because we have the birds and the outdoor noise, so hopefully you can hear me well enough. Let's go ahead and begin. We are on part 9 of 2nd Chronicles, and we're making good headway as usual. We're nearing the tail end, and dare I say we have a lot to go. This book is very long, almost 30-40 chapters individually, but I think we will be just where we need to be by the end of today. Let's go ahead and start out with a quote, and we'll go right into the 3 kings that I had mentioned yesterday, very briefly: Jotham, Ahaz, and then we are also going to go into Hezekiah. So 3 different kings. As you know, there's a lot going on here between Judah and Israel. So let's go ahead and see what this quote says. And the poor in their fireless lodgings, dropping the sheets of the evening paper, our day is our loss. Oh, show us, organizer, time the refreshing river. Combine each cry, invoking the life that shapes the individual belly and orders the private nocturnal terror. Did you not found once the city-state of the sponge, raise the vast military empires of the shark and the tiger, establish the robin's plucky canton, intervene, oh, descend as a dove, or a furious papa, or a mild engineer, but descend. Okay, this annotation here is Spain, 1937. Alright, I have no idea where this quote comes from, if this is also our poet Auden or Audine, I'm not sure. And even when I tried to copy and paste this quote into Google, you guys get absolutely no search results, because I got absolutely no search results by just copying and pasting. I think maybe because it's a little long. Anywho, there's a lot of gems in this quote, regardless of where this is coming from. There's a lot of gems. If we just break it down just a little bit, we have here the poor in their fireless lodgings. This just reminds me of how Israel and really Judah at this time was structured. There really wasn't an abundance of fire. Think about that. Just due to the lack of wood that they had around them. Although their civilizations were very great and built up, and they had a fair amount of resources, wood and lumber and timber at that time was just not in abundance. Okay, that, and they were using a lot of their fires to burn to their idols, right, to Baal, to the Ashereths, and they were doing sacrifices, human child sacrifices, with these giant fires. So a lot of the regular people, the common people, the poor people, even those who did believe, they were without light and without fire. So just that part. I know it's talking here about the evening paper, so it's talking about a different time here in the poem, but it did remind me of the fact that Israel and Judah were very much fireless, and it was a very dark time during these few kings, the ones we talked about in the past, and then these as well. Okay, and so people are calling out, right? Show us, oh, organizer, right? They're calling out to organizer with a capital O. Could that be the God of our ancestors? Could that be our God, right? That they're looking for. Show us, oh, organizer. time the refreshing river. They're looking for a cleansing. They're looking for change, a refresh, right? They want to be refreshed. The nations cry, invoking, right, the life that shapes the individual belly. So again, we're talking about a mass being, right? An individual belly of the God. And yes, I don't know if that makes sense, but each cry, right, invokes action to be taken by God, which is very true. That's what's been happening. They're saying, right, raise the city-state of the sponge, raise the vast military and the tiger, intervene, right? They're asking God to intervene and descend as a dove or a furious papa or a mild engineer, but descend. So people are wanting somebody to intervene, someone, some entity, whatever it may be, in whatever form that this entity shall come upon us, let it come. And it's interesting, as we were talking about the different attributes or names of our Lord and how they mean different things. We talked about him as a furious papa. Very much in the Old Testament, he is powerful, right? He's powerful and he gets angry, right? He's furious. But he's also the father of the people, right? Or he can come as a peaceful dove. And it even says a mild engineer, somebody who's more timid, right? But also very, very wise and established and smart. Shouldn't even use the word smart, but just, an expert and not in knowledge about everything and anything, right? As we discussed. So I'm happy we got this quote, because not only does it relate and sets the mood and the tone for the time that this section is in, but it also brings in what we were discussing among other topics. So let us begin with chapter 27. We have here King Jotham. He was 25 years old when he became king. He reigned in Jerusalem 16 years. His mother's name was Jerusha, daughter of Zadok. He did what was right in the eyes of the Lord, just as his father Uzziah had done. But unlike him, he did not enter the temple of the Lord. The people, however, continued their corrupt practices. So Jotham wasn't terrible. He was a little bit hard-hearted. Uzziah was a little bit hard-hearted as well. And with the entering of the temple, that was a no-no for Uzziah, his father. So Jotham had learned really not to partake in any of the temple practices, even if he was just observing from afar. So the distance between celebrating the Lord and the king and the people was just getting ever more vast, right? It didn't become a focus, and it wasn't as important during Jotham's reign. And it says here, he did not control and lead the people how he should have when it came to stopping or halting all corrupt practices. The other events in Jotham's reign, including all the wars and all the other things he did, are written in the books of the kings of Israel and Judah. And Ahaz, his son, succeeded him as king. Ahaz was 20 years old when he became king, and he reigned in Jerusalem 16 years. Unlike David, his father, and we say David, but we know it's, instead of his father, it's his descendant, right? Unlike David, his father, he did not do what was right in the eyes of the Lord. Therefore, the Lord his God delivered him into the hands of King Aram. The Arameans defeated him and took many of his people as prisoners and brought them to Damascus. He was also given into the hands of the kings of Israel, who inflicted heavy casualties on him. Zikri, the Ephraimite warrior, killed Messiah, the king's son, Azakam, the officer in charge of the palace, and Elkanah, second to the king. So we have this Ephraimite warrior killing the king's son, the officer, and the second hand to the king. The Edomites had come again and attacked Judah and carried away prisoners. In his time of trouble, King Ahaz became even more unfaithful to the Lord. Ahaz rested with his ancestors and was buried in the city of Jerusalem, but he was not placed in the tombs of the kings of Israel. And Hezekiah, his son, succeeded him as king. Alright, so Ahaz had a really rough run. Not only was he destroyed time and time again, not only did the king's court become dismantled and such, we also had many soldiers and just regular common people being taken as prisoners as they were taken over by Aram and a few other places here, even Israel. So also, why did this happen to Ahaz is because he says it in here. I didn't put it in here, but he did all the detestable things that you could ever imagine, right? He encouraged the human sacrifice, did the big bonfires that were not conducive and not pleasing to the Lord. It was to the other, right? The worshiping of the fire, the balls, the ones that we do not associate with God. I had somebody comment or post something that says Baal actually means Lord, or it's transliterated to mean Lord, which makes sense, which is why a lot of the names in the Old Testament and even places are titled with Baal. It says like Jerubbaal or something like that. It means something like lordship or like king, similar to that. And then of course they used that term, and it just stayed, instead of them translating it or transliterating it to mean Lord or ruler. They just kept it as Baal. So again, like God or Lord, Baal is a literal term. So when we say Baal, just keep that in mind. But it is also a figureless God that we don't really, we don't know what's going on with that. Okay, don't know what's going on. So now we're gonna go ahead. And he moved away, right? King Ahaz moved further away from the Lord, and this was another one of the kings who was not placed in the tombs. He was not really honored as much of a king, as he was not buried with the other kings as well. So his son, Hezekiah, he was 25 years old when he became king, and he reigned in Jerusalem 29 years. His mother's name was Abijah, daughter of Zechariah. He did what was right in the eyes of the Lord, just as his father David had done. He brought in the priests and the Levites, assembled them in the square on the east side, and said, "Listen to me, Levites. Consecrate yourselves now, and consecrate the temple of the Lord, the God of your ancestors. Remove all defilement from the sanctuary. Our parents were unfaithful. They did evil in the eyes of the Lord our God and forsook him. They turned their faces. They also shut the doors of the portico and put out the lamps. They did not burn incense or present any offerings at the sanctuary to the God of Israel." So he's preaching at this time to the Levites, and he's saying, we made mistakes. Our family made mistakes. Our parents, the ones right before us, did great evil. They turned their faces and they did not remember our God of Israel. We must be different. He's telling the Levites, we must be different. And this interesting word here, portico, is used, I had to look it up because I wasn't entirely sure, but it's really just like a little awning entrance to a door to the temple is referring to, the door of the temple, and it's usually supported by pillars. So I guess this is a good reason why I'm outside here. But if you can see, I don't think you can see I can't tell, but you see the little awning. Although it's not supported by pillars, it is, kind of like jetting out just a little bit. So it's kind of just like a little awning, and it's usually supported to the ground. But you can also see I have something else here, regardless. But anyways, if you look up portico, you'll understand completely what I'm talking about. And it's really just the doorway, the entrance to the temple. Anyways, they began the consecration on the first day of the month, and by the 8th day of the month they reached the portico of the Lord. For 8 more days they consecrated the temple of the Lord itself, finishing on the 16th day of the first month. This is special because what is today? Today is the 16th. So as I was reading this, I was like, oh, look at that. I'll be reading this on the 16th. Although it is not the first month, and when we say first month, we think of January, right? But the first month in the Hebrew calendar, still not this month, but I believe it is Nisan, which falls in March and April. So we're past that now at this point. But we are in the 16th day, so there is a significance and the Lord's timing involved in releasing this message today and having this come out on the 16th day. Hezekiah gave order to sacrifice the burnt offering on the altar. As the offering began, singing to the Lord also, accompanied by trumpets and the instruments of David, the king of Israel. So the service of the temple of the Lord was re-established, and Hezekiah and all the people rejoiced at what God has brought out of his people, because it was done so quickly. All right. So not only did the Levites consecrate the temple, which just means performing rites and worship rituals and cleaning the temple, removing the terrible things that were in there, the unconsecrated things. They cleaned it, they have it up and ready to go for service, and they're giving praise and thanks to the Lord for all the work they had put in and the amount of time they were able to clean everything up and get it accomplished. It was done very, very quickly. I like also the notation of the burnt offerings. They did several different offerings to open up the temple, but it's just mentioned here, this burnt offering. Yesterday, as I was cooking dinner, I put the oven on broil and I thought it would be good because I was only trying to reheat something for a few minutes, but I ended up burning just the edges of my pita and just the edges of the tops and bottoms of my falafel. So as I'm literally reading this part, transcribing it, trying to get it done for you guys, and I'm noticing here my food is actually burning. So whenever that happens, okay, whenever you become a little bit mindless like me and you're burning food in the oven, bless it, okay? Just bless it. It's a blessing, and could be as a burnt offering to the Lord. So that's immediately what I thought of. I'm like, okay, well, that's my burnt offering. I'm cutting off the burnt edges of my pita bread, and much like the Levites used to do, they actually used to eat their burnt offering as well. Anyways, yeah, the food was delicious. It was some falafel and Mediterranean deliciousness. But that's really all I have for you guys. This is 2 Chronicles Part 9. We are almost done, but just looking ahead, we do have a lot more to cover. But again, it will just be short synopsis of the next rulers, and we'll see what comes out of that. We should already know because we read this before, but there's really so many kings that we covered right before. It seems almost impossible to go ahead and remember which each one did, especially because the names are a little bit tricky. But this is our beginning, just to be able to understand again the foundations of Israel and Judah, and knowing that people do make mistakes and there's others to go ahead and clean up and pick up the pieces, and everything is very balanced at the end of the day. But again, it's just showing you that even with the hand of the Lord, even with the guidance, even with the knowledge, there's still a lot of room for error, as we can see. So it's okay. Obviously, that's what we're learning. It's okay. Things can be repaired. And now we are asking for a time of cleansing and a refresh and a restart, especially when it comes to worshiping and offering ourselves and our energies right to the Lord. So I will go ahead and end this video now. I hope you all have a good day. I'll talk to you again very soon. Bye bye.